Before I get into this review, I just want to say how much I love Daniel Craig as Bond. I should have said this in Casino Royale, but his attitude in this movie, I missed the shot. Fram! Anyway, let's move on with my review for Quantum of Solace. Holy shit, the action sucks like shit in this movie. What the fuck happened? Almost every action scene in this movie is just wrong. It's so wrong. What the fuck were you thinking, whoever directed this movie? I didn't bother looking it up, okay? So I'm just gonna go to my notes. Yeah, anyway, from the first scene, which is an action scene, you can tell what you're getting in for, because there's a moment in this car chase scene where someone's car rams into the front of a truck, but I honestly, for a second, could not tell if it was Bond's car or the bad guy's car because of how many cuts and close-ups there was. And this movie, in its action scenes, tends to focus on the wrong thing in the middle of a chase. Like, in that same car chase scene, there's a shot in there which cuts away to a cop reporting on the chase itself, right? And as the scene continues, his voice is still going with subtitles. What the fuck? Another example of the director just cutting away from the important shit to ridiculous shit in the middle of an action scene. Another example of this is there's a foot chase, right? And during this foot chase, one of them bumps into a lady holding a basket. She drops her basket and she's like, oh, damn. She gets frustrated, right? But they linger on that for too long. In an action scene, in a foot chase. Why would you... Can we please get to the scene at hand, for fuck's sake? Look, it's no doubt that the action in this movie is its biggest weakness, but what I surprisingly found really engaging was the dialogue scenes and the character building scenes. There's a couple scenes that come to mind when I'm thinking of stuff like this for this movie. One of them being the scene where Camille opens up about her past to Bond when they're in that sinkhole or cave or whatever. I actually found that really well done. That was really well done. Up until then, I was sort of like on board with her character, sort of. Like, I liked her, but there wasn't really anything emotionally investing about her character until that scene. And speaking of her character, I kind of liked her by the end. We learned everything we could about her motivation. She had an arc, and then she has a conclusion, and then Bond drops her off at the station, and she just walks off. That, to me, is a well-written character. I'm also pretty sure that this movie takes place right after the end of Casino Royale, because it picks up with him, that car chase, that first car chase, the first scene that lets us know how shitty the action is going to be in this movie, right? In that scene, he's actually got Mr. White in the trunk of his car. So I am pretty sure that this movie takes place right after the end of Casino Royale, when he's standing over Mr. White and he's like, Bond. James Bond. And I kind of liked that this movie delves deeper into what we got with Casino Royale. And if you look forward in the Craig Bond saga, I guess you could call it, I don't know. There's been so many actors playing the character. But if you go and watch Spectre, all of what you see in Spectre was being built up in Casino Royale, and as I learnt by watching this movie for the first time, this movie as well. So there are hints of Spectre in this movie. I love that. For me, it's almost as if, when I watched Quantum of Solace, because I'd seen Casino Royale and every other movie besides Quantum of Solace, when I watched Quantum of Solace, it was like a piece of the puzzle, was missing, and then when I watched it, I found the piece of the puzzle, so it all kind of fits together now. So I'm glad I watched this movie, because, as I said, this movie picks up right after Casino Royale. There's a lot of, Vesper's death is still hitting deep in Bond, he takes a photo and stuff like that, so I like a lot of the stuff that they picked up from Casino Royale. Also, Mathis is in this movie as well. Wasn't he a bad guy? But in this movie, he's not a bad guy. Apparently, Bond just got that wrong. Am I hearing that right? I don't know. But what they did with Mathis in this movie was surprisingly, again, really emotional. This is one of the other scenes that, one of the dialogue and character scenes that I loved, because of how emotional it was. It's very heavy in what it's dealing with. Vesper's death, all that stuff. Honestly, was not expecting a movie with such shitty action to have so many emotionally effective scenes. How often can you say that a Bond movie's biggest weakness is the action? So much to the point that you actually look forward to seeing the dialogue heavy scenes. How often can you say that? Just to clarify, I'm not saying this movie is the best because of that. I'm just saying it's better without action scenes, which is just crazy to think of. Anyway, I guess that's my review for Quantum of Solace. You know, in summary, not that bad. I actually kind of like this movie. I just wish it were filmed better. That's all. So I guess I'll see you in my review for Skyfall. Cannot wait for that motherfucker. Oh yeah, let's do it.